Game started.
Okay, Tony Lambden from Australia. Let's see. Let's try d4. I played e4 recently. Got a Caro-Kann. When I played e4, I played d4, and we can get a Caro-Kann here too. Or I could play c4. And we don't get a Caro-Kann, we get... Oh, it could be a Slav defense, or this is something else. Maybe this is more like a modern. Just develop some pieces. Okay, so he's going with c6 and d6. So that often means he's going to play e5 later. Maybe he's preparing e5 in one move, so he doesn't have to play e6 and then e5. I think I can safely put another pawn in the center, and probably should. Now this guy is not getting pinned, so this pawn is well defended. So this bishop might be more useful on the e2 square than the d3 square. It leaves the queen's view of the d pawn unobstructed. And maybe I can castle. This is sort of like a king's Indian. And now he's played his bishop to that square. So what's interesting about that is now I can put my bishop on e3 without it being harassed by a knight coming to g4, because that square is already taken. He gives up his bishop voluntarily. I don't approve of that, but we'll see. So queen d2, and my plan is just to play the bishop here and trade it off. But now he's blocked in this dark squared bishop, so it's no longer such a great looking piece. So we'll go here. Let's see. He can bring his knight to he can bring his knight to c5 here, putting pressure on the e-pawn. However, it is actually defended by a bishop and a knight already, so nothing immediate is going to break down there. Maybe I should get rid of this bishop anyway. So it doesn't look like such a great piece, but it is a defender of the king's side, and maybe I can later attack on the king's side. With the bishop here, I can think of moves like h4, h5, perhaps. I don't know. His king side is pretty secure with these knights. This knight here on f6 and one knight already there, ready to jump in. Okay, so the king goes there. How do I make progress? Maybe play g3, drop the bishop back, play f4, break it down that way. Okay, he's hitting the c pawn. I should defend that. Takes, I take. Now he's going to advance and maybe try and undermine here. That's interesting. I will let him advance there and see what it leads to. It's important that my knight is protected here. Now, should I just play rook c1 and avoid trades? That sort of gives up the a file, doesn't it? It's the other thing to think about. This exchange here, dc. Pawn or queen takes, leaves a backwards pawn here, but no immediate way to take advantage of it. And f4, my other plan, trying to break down the center. Here, let's move the king to the side. I will let him open up the a file. I will try and contest the a file, keeping the rook there so he can take. I'll take, he can trade, I'll take back. Then I'll own the a file. And that will delay my f4 plan. I have to be careful. I want to be able to take back with the c pawn over here. And so he's got this idea of takes. And then my knight might be hanging if my queen got distracted. So where is this knight hopping? Maybe the knight is going to go to c4 now. c5. Knight to c5. Do I want to bother keeping it out of there? Let's try that move. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if that's a good idea or not. Yeah, because he can go after that pawn. Okay. What is going on here? Can I play? Okay, so now he opens this up, so this resolves this issue. Maybe rook c1 is looking interesting now. Knight to b5 looks like an idea here, hitting the d-pawn and the queen. And still some thought to activating this bishop with f4 and breaking open the center, or maybe even bishop h3. Okay, takes the rook. Is anything hanging? This is all here. He trades queens. Do I want to? Queen takes. I guess he wants to go to an endgame where I have a bad bishop, huh? Let's see. I could use this to reposition the bishop. Queen takes, knight takes, bishop here. Where's the knight going? Knight can come in here, 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 or here. Or I could just defend it. This is a weakness over here. But his e-pawn is weak too. So how about queen takes, knight takes, and then I play knight to b4 to keep his rook honest, to keep it protecting the d6 pawn. Because this knight maybe can be chased away. I also have rook to a2. Rook to a2, I have bishop to f1. I have pawn to f3 if necessary to hold up this structure over here. Like if he plays knight. His knight to d2. It's one option. I'm going to have to spend some time to protect this pawn. That might be a way to play. Knight d2, pawn f3, and then he can put his rook on the c file. Aha, he wants to come in that way. So where is his knight coming after that? Pawn to f3, or h3. Oh, he's just hitting, he is just hitting f2. Let's protect it. If I push the pawn to f3, it gives up the e3 square. And I can still hop into e2, but this knight really has nowhere to go. He bought some time, though. He can now push the f-pawn. I can still play rook a2, rook c1, hitting his knight. Okay, he drops into e2, so he's hitting this pawn, which is protected at the moment. Or there's some checks. There's a check here on f3. Otherwise, not a problem. He can come here. Where else can he go? And then this guy, and then this guy. So let's go after his pawn. I need to activate these pieces. So this d6 pawn has been left behind. So his rook, he could play rook to this square to protect both pawns, but then I have bishop to h3. So rook d7, bishop h3 might be interesting. He just brings his knight back. Okay, so he's attacking this pawn now. And he's going to force f3. Is that his plan? And still he has to defend his pawns somehow. I didn't want to give up my center pawns. I thought they were more valuable then any flank pawn I could win at the moment. There's still quite a lot of force on the board. There's a rook and 2 pieces, so it's not like an endgame where an outside pass pawn would win yet. I mean, I'm sure it would have some advantage. So right here, if I go rook to b2, how does he defend that pawn? Oh, he defends it with the knight. He's going to play the knight here. And I can play the bishop here. How else can he defend it? I can defend it with the knight here. And then I could take here. I think this is making life a little bit difficult for him. So knight d7, I have knight takes d6, and then he moves his knight with a tempo on my rook. Okay, didn't go for that. Okay, so I'm just going to threaten his knight. Yeah, I guess that wouldn't have worked. Knight d7, knight d6 would not have worked for me because he has a discovery with his knight. So now he's attacking my bishop, but it's defended. So I will go ahead and grab this pawn and let him have my bishop, and we'll be in a, hopefully,
check.
In a position that no, I messed up. We're not in a position of equal material. We're in a position where he got a pawn too. Okay, that was too bad. So now he's winning this pawn, and I can't actually defend it. What I can do, though, maybe is take here. If I take here, he can attack my knight. So maybe knight takes. Yep. So he can go there. I'll take. He takes with the knight. Then what? I have a check here, but I don't see it doing any use. Okay, so after he takes with the knight, I think that's forced, right? I'm going to just take here on, yeah. So now I can attack his knight. He has no checks. He has no easy way to, he can defend it with a pawn. Huh? I can, well, I can't advance my pawn. I think I'm better off attacking his knight, and maybe even trading it off. So I guess I have to attack it this way. And let's see, he can move his knight there, okay. Now this pawn is relatively safe. Okay, I just need to start advancing this pawn. I can push. He can push. And I can drop the bishop back to e2. So it's even pawns, but my pawns are scattered, but they're also passed. So this could be, we're now maybe in a situation where my outside passed pawn will be a strength rather than a weakness. Maybe. He has 1 passed pawn, and I have 2 passed pawns. So let's see how far I can get with it. I always have this check here. So he's planning to stop the pawn on the b7 square. So I have rook here. Just advancing, inching down the board step by step. And hopefully my bishop, this is the thing the bishop can do that the knight can't, is the bishop can operate on both sides of the board. So it's in the center here, holding back these pawns in a way and helping these pawns promote. So if I play pawn to b7, he can play rook b8. And then I have to play something like bishop a6 to defend it. But then I can go after his knight. I think that is a reasonable way to play it. I can go after his knight with a move like rook to... So if rook b8, bishop a6, I can think about a move like rook to d7 there, hitting the knight, and maybe even getting the other pawn rolling. But let's see, he doesn't have to do anything. He can just sit on this position too, right? I play bishop a6 anyway. Okay, well, he forces me to play bishop a6. Now, can the knight can go after the rook, but it takes a move or two to go after the bishop. So the threat is rook here. Is that a threat? Rook to c8, knight takes, pawn takes, queen, rook takes, bishop takes. Yeah, this wins a piece here, it looks like. Now, rook to c8, he just takes with the knight. I take the rook. He takes with the rook. I take, yeah, it wins at least the exchange. So that's the threat, rook c8. So I'll play rook c8 anyway. Rook c8. If he doesn't take the rook, I will queen. If he takes the rook with the knight, I will take back and queen. I think this is winning. He takes the pawn, then I win at least a I win a piece at least. Okay, can he win? Can he win with his passed pawns? I don't know. Let's see. I think this is hopeless. Let's see. He's maybe trying for a draw. So he's blockaded these pawns, and I kind of let him do that. Perhaps not wisely. So if he trades off all these pawns, it's a problem. So bishop here, he takes the pawn, I take here. Bishop here, and he doesn't take the pawn, he pushes it forward. I take, he takes. Bishop here. I think I have to attack these pawns. And I think I will still be saved. I think one of these pawns will survive. He can't take here immediately, that's right. And I'm threatening here. So I take, he takes, and I'm going here. Let's see, if I go here first. How about if I play it this way? Drop the bishop back to here, and I'm planning just to take this pawn if I can. If he pushes forward, I will do a take-take. Whoa! He's got the moves here. What does this mean? He didn't take my... oh, he's planning to... he is planning to push this pawn forward, and then I'll have two pawns advancing against my king. Let's push this forward. I want to have a pawn that survives. Let's see what he can do in this position. If he pushes, I'm going to take once, and he'll take back with a pawn, and then my king will drop back. But his king can never come forward.
Check. Check. Check.
So I'll go somewhere like this. His king can never come forward because this pawn will become a queen. If his king ever goes forward. Now he may be saying that I can never make progress too. Which is interesting. Maybe that's true. Very unfortunate condition here that, in fact, when I, if I were to threaten this pawn and take it, if I were to move my bishop to threaten this pawn, he can take my pawn, and that's annoying. Yeah, I think this is just a draw. So if I threaten to take his pawn, he takes my pawn and defends this one, right? I can never attack these pawns with my king. Well, let's walk the king around here. Let's see if I can stir up a little bit of trouble. If I can get my king to the this square, I was thinking that might be good. to the d4 square, I guess that is. And I'm threatening to just take these pawns with my king and counting on my bishop to be able to round them up. These very tricky positions. Yeah, so he can go forward with his king. He can't go any further forward. So now he has to move his king back or move a pawn forward. Or move his king sideways. So moving those pawns forward starts to become dangerous for me, but I think I can freeze them with my king and my bishop. I think I'll be able to hold them. So he's stopping to calculate all that. Complicated. A complicated endgame. Just goes to show you can't just count the pawns and the pieces and say you're winning. He's got one pawn for the bishop. It's 3 versus 2. And in general, that would be a winning endgame for the bishop, but it takes some care because these pawns are passed. And probably, yeah, so what I thought was I could come here in this case. And, okay, so he is going to go for it. So I'm going to go for it.
Check.
And here. And what I thought was bishop here. So if his king comes forward, I'll check it with the bishop. If the pawn comes forward, I'll put my king in front of it. If this pawn comes forward, I will take it. And he's too far back. He's committed. He can't stop my pawn from becoming a queen. So I can sacrifice my bishop for these two pawns. That's
Black
the plan.
resigns.
Ah, finally, I won that. Well, that was a tough struggle and an interesting endgame. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments
Challenge.
you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.